Hello guys and girls, and welcome to episode 15 of the VR Inside podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathies YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 PM in Europe, 3 PM in the UK and 9 AM in central US. If you missed the podcast for whatever reason, you can catch up with the whole show every Sunday where I upload the whole video to my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or you can check out the audio-only version, which is available on Google Play Music and on iTunes. We'd also like some suggestions of other Android platforms that you want us to have the podcast on, so we can get that on those platforms for you as well. But if you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, put them in the chat and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. So I'm just going to introduce you to everyone in the room, like none of them need any introduction. He is the real life Wade Watts from Ready Player One. It is Nathie. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. That's a big announcement you're making here.
It's true.
You know, if there's a Ready Player One too, then yes, I am going to be the one, the chosen one.
Is that right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. I like your hat, by the way. It's very
Thank you.
Very nice touch.
That's right.
So, next up, he is the most dedicated VR Twitch streamer in the world. That is a very true fact. It is ZimTok5. How you doing,
I'm
mate?
gonna cry!
Proud moment.
No, it's just because of this week has been a tumultuous week. I'm really looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, but it's true though, right? You are very dedicated. Like, you've got a schedule. You know, you do how many streams per week?
Several. Four guaranteed, and lately I've been kind of doing 6. So, and a lot of those have been long hours. But 8 hours at work. Then I come home and I do 7 hours or 8 hours on the show. I sleep for an hour or two. I get up agaim and do it again.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy. Like
I
it's incredible what you do. Like, I tip my hat to you, Zim. Well done, man.
Welcome to myself and everyone else here today, who's looking very festive. I guess I'll join the fray. Merry Christmas.
Oh man, now I feel like totally left out. Okay. So this next guy,
Mike, what are you complaining about?
That is true. It's a VR one as well, which is very nice. Thanks to VR Cover, by the way. Little plug there. The next guy, he likes to put on masks and rob banks in VR. It is the one and only RowdyGuy. How you doing, man? You're looking very festive with your little glasses on.
I got some new glasses. You know, let me just show them to the stream here. I got my Christmas glasses, and I also got like my Happy New Year's glasses as well. So I'm fully prepared for this stream and ready to go.
So fabulous, so fabulous. And last but by no means least, myself, the bearded bald guy, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. So this episode, we've got our full show for you guys. We're going to be talking about Fallout 4. We're going to be talking about LA Noire, OrbusVR, Vacation Simulator, and, of course, the winter sales that are coming up. So I just wanted to sort of kick the show off with, like I did last week, actually. I wanted to talk about what you guys have been playing this week. I thought it was a nice way to begin the show, kind of ease us into it a little bit. So let's start with Zim. Let's find out what you've been playing this week, dude.
I'll tell you the one that surprised me the most this week.
Okay, go for
which
it.
is Attack of the Bugs, which
Mr.
Rowdy jumped in on and saw me probably shriek a few times at it. It's an indie title that I went into and I thought, I'm going to hate this bloody game. I played it on Rift and it was really good. Like, the premise of the game is you're sunk halfway into the floor and then you have like toy soldiers, toy robots, spray cans of pesticide, and you're fighting an onslaught of these bugs. It's kind of like a strategy game to an extent. To kill the nest and then proceed to a level. It's only a couple of hours long, probably 3 or 4. I think it took us to beat the 15 levels that are in there. But just the game mechanics were like really good. And for what is essentially a wave-based strategy game of some nature, it's hard to put it in a box. Thought it was really good quality.
Cool, though.
Yeah, it was just
I watched a bit of your stream and it looks really, really fun, yeah. Because I like those kind of like strategy games where you like pluck things down and stuff like that.
It's almost turret defense. It's almost like a turret defense game.
Yeah.
And I love things like Kid Apocalypse. If any of you guys haven't played that, that's a game worth playing. I did that straight for 16 hours and beat it in one sitting. But that was really worth doing. Like, if you can do that one in one go, it's really, really cool to go through all the different levels and see all the cats get just murdered by machine guns. It's feckin' awesome.
Yeah,
But the other ones that I did were just kind of the main the main ones that popped out this week. So did Operation Apex. That was new. Kind of a diving one. Fallout 4, LA Noire last night, along with OrbusVR. So did all those things. We're obviously going to be talking about them this week, but a very sawtooth, I was going to say. So like lots of these where I started off either very positive and went negative on it later, or started off negative and went positive. So we'll talk about that during the show, no doubt.
Cool.
A week full of surprises,
Yeah.
but that sounds very similar to Alchemist VR. I don't know if you've checked that out, Alchemist Defender VR. Yeah. The way you sort of have a tower defense, you've got enemies coming towards you, and you can also fight them off. Sounds kind of similar in a way, but I'll have to check that out.
Is that the one with the rats? Because I've played that for like 10 minutes, I think. It's like almost like rats with like shields and stuff coming at you, and you're teleporting to like 3 different lanes.
That's right, yeah. It's got like 4 different worlds. They all have their own enemies and own weapon sets. So yeah, you start off with the rats. Yeah,
okay, I didn't get to the other worlds yet. So
yeah, but is it similar in that sense, did you feel, or?
No.
Okay.
No, it's hard to describe why. I wasn't a huge fan of Alchemist, but I needed to play more to kind of settle my verdict on that one. But I don't know. It was more... I think the thing that differentiates it is that your weapon crates drop around you, and you have this little grappling hook that you have to shoot and pull them in. And the tricky part is that if you sent soldiers out, your boxes that's grappling back to you, you'll bring your soldiers back, and so that's kind of like the thing you want to try to avoid. And you have to kind of like move around your scene to kind of bring the rope so that the box and with the physics doesn't get stuck on a table, doesn't hit your guys, and more importantly, and the part that made me scream a few times, doesn't bring a spider right into your bloody face. That's if for an arachnophobic dude, like that's not a good time. So
yeah, I'm not a big fan of spiders either. So I might have to check this one out.
You should definitely play it, Mike. I think it'll get some good reactions out of you.
Okay, cool. So what about you, Rowdy? What have you been playing this week?
I've actually played quite a bit. Of course, I've played Fallout VR. I have not tried LA Noire yet. I might still do that on a later date. But I've played quite a few titles. I did the Apex title that Zim just mentioned.
Operation Apex.
Operation Apex, because there's another Apex title that's coming out as well. That's why I was confused. I did Untitled VR, the stealth assassin kind of game. I tried that one. I did Paperville Panic. That one.
What's the premise of Paperville Panic? Because I saw you guys talking about it, but I didn't get to check it out yet.
It's a fun little title. Like it's like
it's not Papers, Please.
No.
I was hoping for Papers, Please in VR one day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Now, there's although they have like a Papers, Please like kind of title that I once covered as well, where you need to like frisk people. It's called TSA Frisky, I think. You need to like frisk people. Have you ever tried that?
With DLC, TSA Gropey.
Yeah, it's quite funny and quite bad, but it's hilarious to try to like.
I'm writing this down. I'm writing this down, Rowdy. It's too good.
And then I did a Desert Bus VR.
Did it?
Anyone heard of that one?
Oh yeah.
I've heard of the original Desert Bus.
I've been challenged.
Okay, I had no idea what I was going into, and I literally tried it for like 5 or 6 minutes, and I was like, what is the point of this? Like, it's literally like just 8 hours of driving, and you have like this guy who's over a podcast like talking about like the original game and how they made it for VR, and I was like, wait. Where are the people that I need to pick up? You know, like when do I need to stop over? And like, I just like had like an 8-minute video of like me doing this. I have no idea what's going on. What am I doing here? Like, what is the point? So I didn't really read the description, but of course that's the point of the game. It was quite funny. I wonder if anyone actually finished that 8-hour drive. And I'm
you should do an 8-hour live stream.
Did anyone do that?
I'm already planning to do it over Christmas, actually.
That would be awesome.
I'm going to do an 8-hour one. The thing is, it's multiplayer, so your friends can jump into the bus with you. So they can like
8-hour stream together. Let's do it.
Well, the thing is, I think they can join and leave. I think it's drop in, drop out, which would be really fun to do with a bunch of names. You know, like get devs in there, get other YouTubers or Twitch people in there.
A Desert Bus Inside podcast.
The purpose of the original Desert Bus, of course, was a charity venture, right? In order to raise money, and so it's like we will torture ourselves, put ourselves through this awful indie game. and you guys will watch us for this 8 hours, and it's about donations. So, I was thinking it's probably a good idea. I haven't decided if it'll be for charity or just for kicks, but
the only thing I'm very curious about now is like what will happen after 8 hours. Like it's just like, okay, thanks for playing our game, or is it gonna be like something special? Because that's what I want to know now. Is it?
I wouldn't get your hopes up, Rowdy. I wouldn't get your hopes up.
I think it's pretty disappointing, or it just stops the demo.
I'd love if he crashes at the end. Wouldn't that be great?
Ooh.
And then at the end, it's like, safe driving like advertisement or something, and it's telling you that like, sleep can kill, or tells you off for doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I also played Merry Snowballs, which is a Christmas game.
Oh, yeah.
Just like throwing snowballs at kids, which I love doing.
Excellent. We all love doing that, of course. What about you, Nathie? What have you been playing this week?
So yeah, I mean, everyone here is like has played the same stuff. Well, I haven't played Desert Bus, but the rest like kind of matches. But I played Paperfill Panic 2. I mean, it's a fun game for kids. It's cartoony. It has that YouTube vibe that everyone likes to watch.
There's
so
like
it's
some
more like
things in there that are definitely not for kids. Like
that's also true. Yeah, you're right. It's like, okay, it's maybe a 50-50 kids, not kids game.
Whoa. Example. I demand an example.
Okay, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
At a certain point, I was going through like the burning building, and there was this guy, like this fat guy sitting on his bed, like, why don't you come over here? I'll give you a really hot time. And I was like, okay. I thought it was a kids game at first too, but that was definitely not a kids game. That part at least.
But I mean, it's basically a game where it's a town made out of paper, and they experience their first fire, and they don't know what fire is, so they mess it up, and it's a really funny game with a cool story, and they will add more levels to it later on. It's not the full game yet. But it's fun. Operation Apex is also one I played. I thought it was going to be something Subnautica related, and they kind of made the trailer look more action-packed than it actually was. But still, I had fun. It's like an educational underwater.
Yeah, it's edutainment.
With some creepy moments too. So if you like, sharks, stuff like that, then it's really nice. It's polished. It's point to point. I haven't really experienced anything funny. I mean, it's just a solid game.
Nathie, you played I'm saying The Journey, but that's not the name. Robinson The Journey, right?
Yes.
And so it's kind of like Robinson The Journey underwater.
Yeah. Well,
with the dots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The scanning dots and that.
Oh yeah. With the
exactly
you're
the
right.
same system.
That's exactly.
Underwater.
You're totally right.
It reminded me a lot.
You have like a.
It reminded me a lot of Time Machine VR. I don't know if you played that one.
Which
That's
was
also
terrible.
Underwater, you need to be scanning stuff and like that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget that Rowdy is like time expert there. Time. But anyway, last but not least, I played Fallout 4 VR, of course, and that's about it. I mean, we're gonna talk about Fallout 4 VR anyway.
We are indeed. So to cover the experiences that I checked out this week, after the last week's show, me and Nathie jumped in and checked out the Ready Player One trailer in big screen. That was a really cool experience because the brand new Ready Player One trailer had just dropped. So it was nice to experience that in virtual reality, in a virtual cinema with my buddy and checking out all the Easter eggs. We found loads of cool Easter eggs in the trailer. You should definitely go check out the new trailer, and I'm so excited about the new film that comes out, which is going to be 30th of March. But we found Easter eggs like there was Tracer from Overwatch in the trailer. There was, Parzival, the main character, was wearing a Thundercats belt. There was an A-Team van, Ryu and Chun-Li from Street Fighter, the Ninja Turtles. There was so many cool Easter eggs in there. Battletoads, yeah, of course. So definitely go and check out the new Ready Player One trailer. Hopefully it's going to build the hype for VR and spread the good word that we're trying to spread ourselves. We also checked out Payday 2. That was kind of interesting. A bit hit and miss, but we had some fun in it.
Did you gun it or did you go silent?
Oh, we tried. We tried so hard.
Oh my days!
It was such a mess.
It went so wrong. We tried. We tried.
We tried, and we did well at the start. I mean, we tried it, but and in the end, we ended up with like a Christmas level, right?
The best part,
and that was the fun bit for me.
The best part was when Mike had to like keep someone like, oh, we're gonna go quiet, and then Mike had the brilliant idea, is like, I'm gonna point a gun at him, and he's gonna stay down. It's like, go down on the floor, go down on the floor. And the guy didn't go down on the floor. And Mike was like, shooting in the air. Go down on the floor. No more stealth for us then.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, we're all noobs at the game. Like, we've never really played the game, not in VR, so we were, like, learning as we were going on, which didn't help either, to be fair.
I did play the game in non-VR, and I still didn't understand what I had to be doing to go the stealth way, so...
There's actually,
that's
for a
where it
game
went
that
wrong.
looks very much like a simple, kind of Left 4 Dead style, like, you just drop in and play, I think there's a lot of configuration in Payday 2 to be learned. Like, I put about 30 hours in the 2D version of it, but...
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to pick up.
Can you stealth? Can you really go every level stealth? Every time they say stealth is an option?
I don't know if every level, but I know that you can...
we
stealth
played
is
the
definitely
level-
supported. You have to be very careful, though.
We played the level where you had to drill a
safe?
bank. Like, what's... Yeah, drill a safe.
Drill the safe. Yeah.
But the safe is like in the middle of the bank. Like...
But what you do is you have to... So you usually come from the back of the building, enter the building, start tying people up, getting them on the floor. You know, with your little zip ties. And
Oh, you can tie people up? We didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't tie each other up and have a fun time?
Well,
We didn't tie each other up. No, we didn't do that. No.
We knock him out and then it's fine,
that's for a different video.
Can't talk. Okay.
Right, so maybe we need to go back and try this again.
Yeah,
This
maybe
is
we
what I
should
was
tie some
saying.
people up, guys.
Look,
This is why we need Zim in the game with us, because he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true. You should be the leader of our group. I mean, we
Yeah.
had some leaders, and I don't know, everyone was just
Yeah, but also actually today they released a brand new update for Payday 2 VR. So they've added new locomotion options. So there's a direct movement option now in the actual settings.
Yeah, that's not fair.
So it's all done now. So what we wanted, which was smooth locomotion, is now in the game.
Oh, thank
so,
God. That's what I was waiting
We'll have to maybe jump in and check it out again.
Yeah.
But we also checked out VR Chat, which I again mentioned, from last week's show. If you haven't checked out VR Chat, just go and do it like right this second after this show finishes, because it's just an amazing experience and you just have so much fun.
Tell us more. Tell us about your what did you see in the great pod?
I got big news from the Twitch side of for VR Chat. They hit they were 5th in the list of games this week.
Of all games?
Yeah, because it's two major YouTubers, I don't know the names, dropped in something like Pokelol or something like that. So I don't tend to watch the super big guys or gals, but
On Twitch.
yeah, they retweeted an image there actually today saying like we hit 5th. Which is not easy to do because it's like it's like League of Legends VR Chat. It's like it's good.
Yeah. So like I became a mouse, which was interesting. Like everything from a mouse's perspective, and then I saw some very strange things that I probably can't even repeat on this podcast. To be honest, you're just gonna have to check out the videos. I'm sure there's gonna be many videos from us covering this game or experience in the future. But also I checked out Oculus Dash and Oculus Home, and I built my home environment, which was really nice. Spent a lot of time doing that. So yeah, it's been a busy week really for me, but it's been really cool.
My question for you: so big screen and Oculus Home, like you, I spent time tweaking it. Remember last week we talked about how important it kind of is. I went and I judged everyone who were my friends at Oculus Home's places, but I was really curious. Like going back to big screen. What do you find? Like comparing the two now, having tried one and tried the other, like what things stand out to you as they're still like hitting it on this thing, but maybe aren't the best?
So in home, what I found was that I couldn't stick a TV screen on the wall. Like I couldn't just have that stuck on the wall, and that because what you do is when you pin it, it moves with you. So that's kind of a problem. Whereas obviously in big screen, the screen is fixed in place, so you can move around the environment whilst that screen is in place. So that's better in my opinion. So yeah, that's why I prefer big screen still for watching, video content in VR. But Oculus Home, like the new environment, is definitely a step in the right direction. I look forward to when I can actually invite people over and use that as a hub to start a game together. Like grouping up in your home environment and then all going into a game together. A bit like when you're in VR Chat, you can pop up a portal and all jump through that portal to the next world together. If they can do that, but skip and jump within games together, then that's going to be really exciting.
Because that's the thing that I still really want to do when I go into virtual reality. And I saw that actually that Rec Room recently released an update in which that you can make like your own personal room as well, like your own space, and you can link to other friends as well. And you can meet up in there with people and like lay it out the way that you want it to do. I really hope that if Rec Room introduces a video player, like a cinema player, I'd be spending a lot of time in there, just with my subscribers and watching videos in there and stuff, doing crazy stuff in there. I really would like to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Like if VR Chat had a way to put like videos on the wall, like I know they're working on that right now, that would be really cool, because then we could do something like this in VR Chat. And also we've kind of talked behind the scenes, spoiler, about maybe meeting up with fans of the show after maybe the podcast one episode in VR Chat, so you can actually talk to us directly, come and meet us, come say hi, and that would be a really cool way to interact with you guys and meet you. So maybe look forward to something like that happening in the very near future.
One technology just to mention, because I think it'll... Sorry,
modded rooms now as well. So,
sorry, did you say modded rooms?
PlayStation VR. Huh?
Modded rooms? What did you say?
Like you can like make your own room and like adjust it to the way that you like it.
Yeah, so custom rooms for... So a player can have what? One room, or can you have multiple?
I have no idea. I've not tried it myself yet. I have not.
That was
just
patched in this week, right?
An update in my email where they said that they are introducing custom rooms now, and that you can lay them out as you want them, and introduce other people to it and all that stuff. Yeah.
And big screen as well. Like announced an update recently, so you've got bigger rooms now, so you can invite more people around to your virtual pad and check stuff out together.
You can see where it's going, right? And the other thing, the only other technology that I was going to mention, because it ties it back to Nathie's Virtual Boy last week. Was Janus VR. Have any of you guys played Janus, Nathie, maybe?
No.
No? So what it was is, if you take... You guys know like HTML being a markup language for, obviously, simple internet pages? It's like a markup language for the internet that can translate any website. So you can show up at a URL. It's all URL driven. You're in a kind of like a staged environment. You plug in a URL. We could plug in the URL for our podcast if we wanted. And you'd go to a room, and this room is dynamically created based on the content of the web page, or you can use this special markup language to make an environment. So it's basically the meeting place for the entire internet. And I think that Amazon and Google are both working on projects to do just that. And I think that there are a few other things that we'll talk about next week that are doing that same kind of area, encroaching on how can I turn the internet into an environment where people can meet each other, and almost like a marketplace where you show up. Because like what I was saying is, if you went to Reddit and someone else was in Janus and went to Reddit, you'd see each other. And there would be posts literally on the wall, and you could go through a portal and walk through that. So we're seeing all the kind of the room side is the customization element. And then we've also got the dynamic VRification of the internet. And that's going to be really interesting, I think.
Can you post it in the chat, because people are asking how it's written? Maybe post it in there.
Yeah, I will.
And then people can find it out as well.
It's spelled Janus, and I'll write that there.
I'll definitely check that out. So, okay, guys, we're going to talk about one of the big hitters of this week, which was obviously Fallout 4. We've been talking about this game for such a long time, and it finally released on the 12th of December on Steam VR. It's available for $39.99 in British pounds, $59.99 in US dollars. So it is quite a pricey game, like one of the sort of high-end, most expensive games available in VR right now. And it had a bit of a bumpy launch with performance issues and also issues with it not working particularly well with the Rift. But what kind of experiences do you guys have with this title? Because personally, like I put 70 hours into like the base game when it first came out, and I've really just not got that much interest in jumping back in it. So I'd be interested to know your guys' thoughts about this title.
Let's start with Nathie here, Mr. Pip-Boy himself. Go on.
Okay, so first of all, what I want to say is that I played the game at Gamescom before it came out, and I can tell you guys the demo I played at Gamescom was better than the actual launch of the title.
Really interesting.
It was looking better in terms of graphics and also render distance, stuff like that. So okay, so I've been working on a review for like 5-6 days now. And there's a lot you can talk about. I mean, we can talk about this for hours, but nailing it down. So yes, the game still has performance issues. So if you are going to buy it now, then if you got a beefy PC, then you are going to have a better time than if you live on the edge in a way. But the fact that you can just explore the wasteland in VR is of course next level. I played also the casual Fallout. honestly, I'm not that interested to jump back myself either. But since I'm a reviewer, I just go into the game. I spend some hours in it. I'm not expecting myself to play like 200-300 hours of the game. But I understand that a lot of people will, because it's really nice. It's like a next level experience. But yeah, in the end, it's a parted VR game. So don't expect to be opening doors, step into a power suit, drink a Nuka-Cola. All those kind of things aren't there. It's still kind of basic. It's better than what I experienced in Skyrim, though. But still, I got more excited for Skyrim in a way. I mean, Fallout is nice, but Skyrim, maybe it's just because it's an older game and it kind of has that classic feeling. But overall, yeah, it's fun. I'm trying to think of things I really need to tell here, but there's...
Yeah. I've got a quick
much.
question for you. So you say that it's not optimized for VR, and we kind of all knew that before going in. But is there a big difference in quality in terms of playing the VR version of the game or like a Vorpex version of the original game, for example? Like, is the experience between the two like that different? Do you know what I mean?
You might want to tell people what Vorpex is and what an injector does.
Okay,
yeah, so basically Vorpex is a program you run in the background on your PC, and when you start up Skyrim, it will work in VR. So it's like a cinema screen attached to your face, but you can actually move your face too, so the screen moves with you. So you basically have tracking. It's like tracking without the positional part with it. So your head is on a stick, and you have like a cinema screen, and that's how you play the game. That's basically Vorpex. But yes, Vorpex, when I used that with Skyrim and also Fallout, it looked a lot better. Of course, but that's just the main game you're playing. This is like the VR version. And right now, I mean, the resolution isn't great. You got reprojection, you got low graphics, you know, it's really toned down. And I'm sure some people will get motion sick of this game right now. And they are optimizing it at this moment. A lot of people are also using mods. Mods do work with Fallout 4 VR. But again, like, it's a mix. So basically the game doesn't run that well because Bethesda is still working on it. But on the other side, some people complain, well, they don't even have a good PC for it. It's not, you can just not use a simple PC to play this. You need a decent PC, otherwise you're not going anywhere. That's it. I mean, and that's the whole thing I saw on Steam, where people complain about it doesn't work. But there are so many different like opinions and experiences in that way, where some people complain because they really see it frame dropping because they are still playing on their 970s. I mean, if you got a 970 or a 980, you're living on the edge with Fallout. Let's be honest here. You can't just expect the hardware to keep on running with that forever.
Yeah, you're running a 1080 Ti, or what are you running, Nathie?
I'm using a 1080, but I noticed that the processor can also make a big difference.
I'm using a 980 Ti, by the way.
Oh yeah, did you play it, Rowdy? Did you have the same kind of feedback?
I was one of the first people to stream it on YouTube and other platforms. But I played for roughly 3 hours. So I did the beginning, and I had it to like that first town, and then I went with the how is it called, the Minutemen. I went with them back to the town. That's roughly where I got like a little bit further, and I went into like a building as well. Just to mess around. I haven't been like to like very dense areas yet. Like, for example, was it Diamond City?
Diamond City.
I need to say, I have not finished Fallout 4 before. So I have not played Fallout 4 entirely. What I did do was roughly, I think, a couple of months before Fallout VR was announced the first time, I played it with Vorpex. And unlike Nathies, I didn't really like it that much with Vorpex, mostly because graphic-wise it's definitely better. I mean, but in terms of optimization, like, I could not read any menus in Vorpex. It's because the Pip-Boy is like on your you know, you need to use the screen and you need to try to look at the inventory. I could not get weapons. I could not get well, I mean, I could get them, but I didn't know what I was attaching, so I couldn't read like the numbers that they had. And I think I played roughly 5 episodes in total. I still got to Diamond City and all of that, and I enjoyed myself, but I could not continue playing this, and also didn't want to because, of course, Fallout 4 was announced, Fallout VR was announced, that I kind of wanted to wait until I got like a better version. And I have to say, there are issues. I mean, I didn't really have that many issues, mostly I think because I didn't reach like a very dense area. Also, I have async on, so I have reprojection already for sure when I'm using a 980 Ti. But I have to say, I had like lower expectations just in general. Oh, something happened with the mic. I had lower expectations just in general because I knew that it was going to be a ported game. I knew it was going to be a ported title, which is already an issue, of course, when you're playing VR titles. But I did find it an amazing experience just to be walking around there. And of course, there's going to be a lot of complaints about it, but people need to understand that everyone who is invested now in virtual reality is still an early adopter. And I think that's a very important thing to know, that everyone who's now invested in virtual reality, I still see them as an early adopter. It's still the first generation that is out there. And I think that if a game like Fallout then releases on that and you expect it to be running flawlessly, it's never going to be running flawlessly, especially not on hardware that is already now a year old. Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
well, so I think the intro sequence was pretty tough. I don't know if it was only because I hadn't tweaked my settings at that stage, but the intro was of everything. And I've been to Diamond City. I've spent a good probably 18 hours in the game this week. So I would say, and that 2 of those bits were like 7-hour stints. So I got a good taster of it. It's funny that you said the Minutemen, and this is just typical of me, but I did the Minutemen about hour 15. And I know it's probably one of the first missions. But what I tend to do with these games, just like I did with Skyrim, you know, I drop in and the thing I love about VR games is to be able to just lose yourself. Just be like, go in and just fucking wander. Do what you want, try what you want to do, all that kind of stuff. Don't worry too much about the quests or go and point the point, because that feels like very gamified to me. And when you do that and you feel like you're just in that world, there's this kind of, I don't want to call it sepsis, but this kind of like thing that just osmosis into you and you feel like you're there. Like Skyrim, Nathie made a point, which was the kind of inherent hype level, this kind of excitement factor.
Of course.
Like when I played Skyrim, the graphics in Skyrim were consistent throughout. In other words, they were all at the same appropriate level. So your eye doesn't go, oh god, that texture is like really low res compared to this gun, which is very highly detailed. Whenever you see that in a VR game, the whole game can look rubbish by conventional standards. But provided it all looks, you know, it's like Minecraft in VR, for instance. It's all the same blocky rubbish, right? But you're convinced you're there because it all looks consistent. And I found that, like, Skyrim for me was the heaviest. You guys know, it's my favorite game now of all time. And it had that consistency, and it had this old school, like, flavor to it. I'd never played it before. Amazing. And I'm still going to have to be playing more of that later today. So Fallout, to compare, the thing that struck me really, really starkly very soon in the game was the control schemes are like the same thing. In fact, the game engines feel like, to me, like Skyrim is this engine that they recoated and called it Fallout 4. In other words, the way you get around, the interaction with the enemies, some of the interactions with the items and what you collect and how you drop, it just feels like they reskinned it almost. It's really funny, but
that might explain why it was easier for me to like immediately get the controls, because with Skyrim I had some difficulties in like the first hour, like getting known just to the controls. But maybe because I already knew the controls from Skyrim, I had a less of a hard time adjusting to the ones in Fallout.
Yeah. So it was the complete opposite to Doom, which we talked about last week. Doom felt like there's buttons all mapped all over the place, and I have no idea what to push in order to achieve what my brain wants the character to do. But in this, I fell into it. So really good introduction. Performance-wise, it definitely had issues. Day 1 was difficult to the point where I was thinking, I got to tell people this is probably not able to be recommended right now. Day 2, after they patched it, and there was a Steam beta patch available, and there were Nvidia drivers available. And again, if you have your reprojection enabled, I found that to be a smooth as glass experience.
Me as well.
Really nice. And then I was able to actually play through, show people, because as you guys know, if you're a broadcaster, you've got to encode on your CPU as well as rendering the game. So actually, I know I'm already losing performance, and if I was to play it just on my own, which I don't tend to do, it would perform a little bit better. But honestly, the graphics,
when you explain what reprojection is as well. Because I think people are probably they're already wondering, how do you notice if reprojection kicks in? So maybe we should try explaining that.
Well, you can enable it. I think it's a technology that you see. So if you have 90 frames to deliver,
Yeah, correct.
And if you deliver all of those frames, imagine you're taking a different picture at every instance as you're going along. So you've got 90 different pictures within the second. If you instead skip every second picture, you would actually be broadcasting at 45 frames a second, right? But what you're doing is you're kind of accordioning those out to the 90 different frame slots. So the idea is that you're basically, when you're missing frames, there's a difference between, I'll call it mandatory and opportunistic reprojection. So there's different names that Oculus and HTC have for this technology, but it's pretty simple in that you don't always have to repeat a frame, and sometimes you do. Sometimes you choose that you're going to. So either you do it all the time, or you do it when your CPU, for instance, or GPU is under load, and that's reprojection. So you're not really getting 90 frames, but you kind of trick it, and so the smoothness isn't as smooth, and a good eye can pick it up.
So it's blending in. So it's basically blending in extra frames you don't have in the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the always-on reprojection, right?
Yeah.
And
so I think
it's funny that someone it's funny that someone also said that if you teleport in Fallout 4, then it's okay. You don't really Mike, you don't really see it that much. But if you walk around, then it's really like noticeable, you know. So let's say if you're teleporting in this game, I think you're fine in a way. It's just that if you start walking around, that's why I decided to go for the fastest speed in Fallout, so I wouldn't notice it that much. Because if you were going slower, it was like more stuttery in a way, you know? And when you go real fast, it keeps at a certain pace, you know what I mean?
But I noticed a really big difference with those two changes. So the beta branch obviously made a big difference. But having the Fallout 4 Nvidia drivers also did. So just from my understanding, Nathie, do you have the latest? Because they...
Yeah.
Okay. So because I'm also on a 1080.
I mean,
so
it's getting less.
Similar.
That's the thing, you know. Like after, like I played it a couple of times now, and it becomes less and less and less.
Yeah.
But let's say the first time I played it, it wasn't that great. Then the VR beta thing came out, and I signed up for that. It's a lot better, but still, like I want people to have settings in game where they can change the graphics and even boost it up if they can't handle it, you know. And I don't want the VR community to like. I mean, they are free to mod it, and it's great to see that, but Bethesda should fix it themselves. And that's the thing we have seen with all the like titles so far of Bethesda. Like, the community is always fixing it themselves. With the PlayStation VR one, they couldn't, of course, but if it came to PC, of course, everyone optimized it. Because in the end, Fallout 4 VR is just the main Fallout game as a mod. So people are already using their Fallout 4 folder into their VR one. It totally blends in. It just
It's also
works.
moddable,
really
right?
quickly,
So you can actually apply, for instance, scope mods. So you can actually use the scope, which, as you said, Nathie, there are things in Fallout 4 which we as a VR group would expect from VR titles that are from the ground up. And when you have a conversion like this, some things don't work, and you're kind of like you go to a drawer and you go to pull a drawer, or go to open a door and it loads you through instead of letting you walk through the door. Those are things that are way more apparent when you're in VR, but I don't think they kill the experience. I think I'm completely new to Fallout. So it was the number one thing for me was that it felt like a little bit of a copy paste from Skyrim for the engine and the control schema and all that. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, but I never connected those two titles before this month to Bethesda. So now that I know that they're both from them, it's kind of feeling like, okay, they reproduced the engine, reskinned it, retuned it, but they're clearly reusing some of their technology, which isn't a bad thing. But overall, what would you guys say for those who've played Skyrim and Fallout? Skyrim or Fallout?
Wait, just a second, because really quickly on that reprojection.
Sure.
There's also two forms of reprojection, right? There's the asynchronous reprojection. I mean, in Steam at least, with the Oculus, it's called the synchronous time warp, I believe. But with the Steam VR, we have interleaved reprojection and we have asynchronous reprojection. And the interleaved one is the one where you correct me if I'm wrong. Where you double each frame, and the asynchronous reprojection is where it's actually updating the frame after the render, right? That is how asynchronous worked.
Oh, that I don't know.
No?
I know interleave.
Okay.
Well, I know the concept of, because that's I saw it first in an Oculus presentation last year. Actually, I think it was on their.
I believe
that's when they showed like asynchronous. I thought it was space warp, but
Yeah, I think it's with like a 90% mark, and that they update the frame after the render. I thought it worked that way. Should look
So
into
it's yeah. So I mean, but yeah, that question I've been getting a lot, which is Skyrim versus Fallout, and is Fallout worth it for a new player? I've been asked the question as well, but now that we're approaching Christmas, like, oh, I just got into VR. What's the best game on, on each HMD?
I mean, hardware aside, you mean?
Hardware aside, I actually think that Fallout, if you haven't played Fallout the 2D one and kind of spoiled your expectations, I find it's very gripping as a story. I mean, the companion of Meat Dog.
Meat Dog?
Meat Dog. I purposely feck up the names. It's just fun.
So that sounds actually pretty cool.
So Meat Dog and me, going across the wasteland, as you put it, it's really cool. I mean, I like the fact that Fallout is a really immersed environment. But I have to say, something I find in VR games, if I play games that are too dark or too kind of depressing, they're harder on me. Like it's harder for me to do long hours in a game that feels dark, depressing, sleepy. And Fallout is way more sleepy, dark, and kind of foreboding than Skyrim is. Skyrim's a bit brighter of a world. It's just kind of more colorful. There's more undulation in the landscape. This one is like it's burnt and charred, and things are blown apart, and little cars. God, do not blow up cars, guys. I learned the lesson the hard way.
It looks nice when you do it.
It does look cool, but it's like a nuke going off. It's not cars.
Yeah, I know.
Cars don't have a nuke inside them.
So you think that the experience can be different just because of how the environment looks?
I'm saying, yeah. So I like if I'm doing an 8-hour stint in a game, and if it's nighttime that whole time, that's gonna be really hard going for me because my body is like, okay, Zim, time to sleep.
Yeah,
that's what I experienced.
I'm mixed here, and I'm looking like at different things. For example, I like to ride a horse more than stepping into a power armor, for example. It just adds up more to the immersion in a way, And it's the same with, for example, I like to shoot a gun instead of having a sword all the time, So it's like mixing up.
Interesting.
Here. I think I like Fallout more also because it just has that old school kind of like 60s feeling, and you got the old radio playing, and it's night and it's dark and it's raining, and you got like a companion, and you can like build up a relationship with a character too, and team up in a way. So yeah, I would say Fallout 4 VR, but I'm also very curious what the VR community is going to do with Skyrim when it comes to PC, because don't underestimate the mods. You can change this whole game and it can be a whole total different game where it's almost like Skyrim and Fallout, or the other way around, So, I mean, I spoke to VR Gaming Evolved. He's been like modding the game a lot, like hardcore, from graphics to the sky, to the mechanics itself. He actually has a mod where you can dismember people too with your machete. Because it's funny that the melee combat in VR is 10 times better than the melee you had in the casual Fallout game. It was clumsy and you didn't want to use it. And now with VR,
it's awesome.
It's even better. So with what I haven't seen with Skyrim that much is that in VR some things work better. And in Fallout, it's like, wow, this works better and that goes a little better. So yeah, it's just that, again, it's a part of the VR game. And let's hope that Fallout 5 is gonna has like a mod in there that actually got into the development right away, because I want to hold that minigun with 2 hands, I want
the single-handed guns.
That bulkiness. I want to see that armor on my hands, that bulkiness of the power armor. I want to see like what kind of suit I robbed from a raider and wear it. I want to see it. I want to see my gloves change. If I have a mask, I want to see that I'm wearing a mask. And those kind of things I was missing, and I can't complain because we knew what was going to come. It's just that some people that are new to VR think that this is just the VR experience like they have seen with other stuff,
For me, it's I'm gonna say straight up, it's definitely Fallout. At this point, it's easy because if I have to choose between a PlayStation VR version of Skyrim or a PC version of Fallout, then it's going to be Fallout. But also, even if Skyrim comes on PC, I think I'll be spending a lot of time more in Fallout simply because of the reason that I haven't played it yet. And unlike you, Zim, I still want to finish this title, and I still want to do the full main story, and I'm probably going to stream about that as well. I don't know if I'll make a lot of videos about it because it's such a lengthy title. Oh, well, I mean, it's not in terms of like that the main story is so long, but you can really put hours and hours and hours in this game, and I think that it would suit a stream much better. But I do like the game a lot, though. I'm not going to cover it up. Even at this point, you know, there's a lot of wrong with it. I'm not going to deny that, but I still like the game, and I can imagine myself playing this a lot more still, like a lot more. And I do like Skyrim as well, but at this point, I really like the Fallout universe.
That's interesting. That's really interesting because I am squarely Skyrim. I think the performance, the world. I don't know, but again, I didn't play either title, so I don't have that pollution factor, and I also tend not to go for graphics over game design. So for me, Skyrim takes it. So we got two for Fallout,
I don't really
one for
that much the graphics either, but it's the world of Fallout that I find a very, very cool atmosphere, even since like the first titles. Yeah.
Like also from my opinion, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay, we had some like technical
issues.
Little
low volume, but you're okay, Mike.
Okay, so basically, I've played Fallout 4, obviously like the vanilla version. Never really played Skyrim, but nothing really interests me about going into that world and spending like 70, 80 hours in VR. It just doesn't interest me really. I don't know what people think in the comments, but like, you know, I admire the fact that Rowdy's saying, you know, he wants to continue and complete Fallout 4 and, you know, maybe stream his time doing it, but. For me, like the idea of standing there for 70 hours going through this campaign is just not an appealing one. So it's interesting.
See, I'm the opposite.
But maybe also
but maybe these are great. These are fantastic. So I mean, like I know Rowdy streams as well. Like these are the content that people want to watch. You know, like I'm hitting great numbers, and the reason is it's a story, and you can follow the story, and you can follow the character, and particularly. I know there's an attraction to virgin players as well, because it's like, I can help the person out. I can, you know, while you're watching. So, Rowdy, what I was saying was, I'm not very good at completing quests, but you, I intend on fully completing these games. So,
nice.
But it's just going to take me 4 times as long as you.
I think the only thing that is in the way right now of playing this game for hours upon hours is the locomotion, because we're still standing. If we got something that we haven't discovered yet, are getting, you know, I'm not talking about a treadmill here, something totally else, then it's gonna be awesome. I did feel like after I played Fallout 4 VR, I felt like I want to play the game again, and if that's in VR or the monitor, for me that doesn't really make a difference in a way, but I did feel like I want to play this again, you know, because it's not your fast action-packed game, okay? That's not what it is. Sometimes it is, you can make it that way, because in the end, it's your story, you can decide how you play it. But it's not super fast or something, you know, it's not Robo Recall or anything. But the cool part of it is that, you know, you go into the game, it's very relaxing too, you know, you're not always fighting enemies. Sometimes you're just enjoying the sunset rising up, or you are talking to some people that have like a silly mission you need to like accomplish.
That is the thing that I like about both games, because I mean, that's where you can see that both games are in a way made by the same developer, because both games have that kind of atmosphere. Like you can enjoy the sunset in Skyrim, or like the different weather environments.
Agreed.
Do like a silly quest there as well. And I'm a big fan of both franchises, but I've been a fan of Fallout for much longer than I've been from the Elder Scrolls. Basically,
right.
I know that world already since Fallout 1, when it wasn't being developed by Bethesda, and I really like that. Really like that game.
I mean, to wrap this up, I think it's very exciting because, I mean, we had these 3 games and they all, like, performed in a different way, you know, and it's just funny to see everyone has their own game now, in a way, you know? Like, Rowdy has Fallout and Zim can just play Skyrim. I didn't hear many people say, like, okay, I'm gonna go back into Doom. Of course, Doom is not an open world game, but still, I feel like Doom was, like, the less interesting one. It didn't felt like Doom. It was like... you know, and maybe like they will learn from it. But it's funny, that was the only from the build up for VR experience, while the rest is just. Then you see that mods like VR mods are still like pretty like good in a way. But I'm so excited for next year because a lot of big AAA companies see Bethesda now, and of course they are trying to resell their games on every platform. But this is VR, and VR is still on PC. So, and it's let's be honest here, it's easy to make in a way. It doesn't take that much time compared to building a whole game again for VR. So yeah, like the possibilities are endless. I'm expecting, like, of course I'm a big BioShock fan. It can happen. I can see it happen. But it can also be a total like different game. Yeah, because I mean Bethesda, I can remember years ago, my friends were like, yeah, maybe Skyrim is gonna come to VR. Like, yeah, that's funny, man. And now it's here, and it shows off to be like kind of basic. Next, it doesn't take that much time and money to make. So I think a lot of developers will jump onto the hype train. I just don't hope that all the AAA developers will think like, okay, so we don't need to even try to make an actual VR game anymore.
Yeah, I think the issue with all these VR games is that, yeah, it's great that we have them. I appreciate the fact that we have them, but it just seems like, especially with these two Bethesda titles, Doom VFR and now Fallout 4, and soon when we'll talk about LA Noire, is that, you know, the pushes forward and the implementations are not made by the studios. Like, the most impressive parts of these games are made by the community, and that's just crazy. Because, like, when it comes to, like, full locomotion mods, optimization to make it work properly on your PC, graphical enhancements, scopes, like you mentioned in Fallout 4, that's not coming from Bethesda, that's coming from the community. And this is what I don't understand. Like, is it lack of Q&A? Is it lack of interest? Is it lack of time? I don't understand.
Time as well, right? It's basically, it's the first time that these people develop for virtual reality. It's the first time for everyone. It doesn't matter they're a AAA developer. They've never made a VR title. They never have. They don't have the experience. There are companies like Survios that have way more VR experience than Bethesda, which is crazy at this point in time. But that's simply how it is. They have not made a VR title yet. And the next time that they will make a title that is for virtual reality, it will probably be a lot better because of the Q&A they do now and all the feedback they're receiving now, and that's just how it works. And that is what I mean as well when I say, like, if you invest in virtual reality now, you're an early adopter because it's the first time for everything.
Take a direct parallel, right? Content creation. Look at an established YouTube channel who tries VR content, or a Twitch channel that tries VR content. They're having the same problem. You take a big name and they're switching lines. There's a realignment energy that's needed there. So like you say, Rowdy, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, plus, I mean, every developer has like its own story, so you know where you're buying your game at. If you played a lot of Bethesda games, you kind of know what you can expect, but it is their duty to like optimize the game right now, because I just hate to hear people have their first experience now and get motion sick. HTC, for example, they launched a bundle with their Vive and Fallout. They have been promoting that for months now, and now it's out, and now new people that have never tried VR jumped into the game for the very first time on launch. Of course, it's better now, but on launch, people jumped in and they were like, is this VR? Is this it? And that's a shame. That's a real shame. Now it's better, of course, but still, like, with VR, you're putting people inside your game. It's not I'm watching my monitor and the frames are dropping. I'm in VR with frame drops right in my face. And that's a little dangerous, and it's a disappointment. People will have like a different view on it. So for me, that was like one of the things I was really disappointed in. But yes, of course, we know what we can expect as like VR veterans. But if you are new, like, you don't want to see those graphics dancing around or have your gameplay totally wasted because it's lagging, you know?
No, and also you don't want to spend the first hour of your game experience optimizing the settings to make it a good experience for you. It should work straight out of the box.
It's a PC. I gotta draw a line there because between console and PC is gonna push it. And the modding side of this, remember guys, I mean, most of it, I think we would all count ourselves as PC guys, right? But there is a tax to be paid for the advantages of the PC. You can get the better graphics, you can get the modding capabilities, but what do you pay? You pay on day one feck ups, and you pay on configuration time.
And also,
but as a Rift user, like, I don't have these issues on the Oculus platform. Like, I don't have these setup issues on the Oculus platform.
Oculus have done a very good job.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like as a Rift user, like I only have these issues when I jump into Steam VR. Like some titles, admittedly, work flawlessly, and I have no problems with whatsoever. But titles like Fallout 4, and I don't know, like let's be honest about it, they were never supposed to be used on the Oculus platform. But I spend nearly as much time tweaking the settings and making it work for the Rift than I do actually playing the game. You know, a lot of the time, and that's the frustrating thing for me.
Yeah.
The thing is, from my side, because I played it on the Vive, I literally, because I want to be the first, I just booted it up and I started it, and I had reprojection. Don't get me wrong. I turned async on because I wanted to have a smooth experience and also a rather smooth experience for my viewers. But I did not run into a single issue. Scale was not right. Performance-wise, okay. Not the best, but I did not have a significant issue that deterred me from playing for 3 hours straight. And that is a good thing as well, I think. Of course, I didn't try it on the Oculus. I tried it on Vive.
Yeah. I think they just, to a certain degree, Bethesda needs to do their thing as soon as possible. You know, like as I said before, there's a big difference when being in VR than playing on a monitor. You know.
Yeah.
And if that's like, I mean, Rift support, everyone knew that wasn't going to happen. Of course, everyone can just mod it. It's the same. People are also playing it with mixed reality headsets, you know. So I mean, that's cool, and I'm very happy we finally got some games where you can mod like a boss, and like you can add not only graphics, you can also add like an extra story, or shoot Christmas trees, or have Dead Claws dressed up as John Cena chasing you. It's all possible. Like, go check out the mods. There's so many mods you can play. But it's just that, you know, when a game comes out, we have seen performance issues before, but I have never seen it being this bad compared to other games.
This
loud.
Yeah, this loud. Reddit was hard to watch that first day because, I mean, it felt like, you know, you see a Steam review and it says like mostly negative. That's what day one felt like. I think they've recovered, and I think 2-3 weeks from now, I don't think we'll see the same kind of impact because that twofold scene. Modders are saving it, and separately patches are coming. So give it some time. I think it'll still be worthwhile for people to be checking out. I don't think I would say stay away from it. I'd say,
but still, it's totally up to the basic game how that one is going to look. Because most people are not going to mod the game because they have no idea how to do that, and they are also not interested in doing it. And they shouldn't be, because in the end they should have the settings in game to change the graphics, to change the locomotion. Like, that's the thing with my review as well. First I was like, maybe I should just tell everyone like, okay, so you can't really do this, or it doesn't look like that, but if you want to, you can mod it. No, that's not the way it works. This is what you pay for. This is what you get. And people should just have options in there to optimize the game. Because right now, it's not fair to people who are totally new to VR, man. Yeah. Like, yeah, of course, as a veteran, it's like, yeah, I use this mod and do that and change that file. But for a casual person, it's not like, hey, I can turn async off or on, or, you know.
Yeah, but you're kind of acting there like the patch didn't fix things. I mean, the patch. I mean, I'm playing flawlessly right since day 2. So, and I did not mod, no mods. So, I mean, I don't know.
But that's the thing. I mean, and we haven't spoken about this like for a while now. It's like, you know, everyone has like their own different opinions of when they are okay with a game.
True.
You know, I'm just looking from a perspective of, if I'm a new consumer, is this okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting motion sick anymore, so I really need to go back in time and think like, okay, if I play this for the very first time and I can teleport around and it looks like this and it plays like that, is this okay? Is this enough for everyone? Yeah, let's say if you are a VR fan, then yeah, go mod it and you're okay, and you can even optimize it with mods too and the way it performs. So but it's a mix, you know. You got new consumers. They promoted this game for a lot of new people out there. At least that's what HTC did. Bethesda didn't promote this game that much. They didn't, you know.
So moving on from one title that required a lot of modding to another title that required some mods to make it work, and that is LA Noire. So LA Noire, it released yesterday on the 15th of December on Steam VR for $24.99 in British pounds, $29.99 in US dollars. It's kind of like a trimmed down version of the original game. It's got 7 different cases that are specifically rebuilt for VR that you can play with the HTC Vive. A lot of Rift users bought this game yesterday as well and were very disappointed to know that when you actually boot up the game on the Oculus Rift, you are displayed with a message that says headset not supported and completely boots you out of the game. So you can't even fire up the game if you owned a Rift. But luckily, again, the community has come to the rescue, and the guy behind the Revive modification for HTC Vive on the Oculus platform has released a patch, so you can actually play this with the Oculus Rift. I literally spent maybe 5 minutes just before the show to check out that it worked, and I can say that it does, but what I can say straight off the bat from my very, very first impressions is that it's not obviously optimized for the Rift, so the controls are a little bit janky, but the main thing that bothered me was that when you wear your fedora, your hat, it actually takes up like so much of the real estate of the screen. So it's very, very difficult to actually see what's going on in-game. Pretty much exactly what Zim is showing you right now, and for our audio listeners, it's essentially, it kind of blocks half your vision. So I don't know quite how I'm going to get around that, but I plan to do a video on the game maybe later on today. But I'd be interested to know if any of you other guys have been playing LA Noire, the VR case files on HTC Vive.
Yep, 4 hours done last night. The hat is a very interesting thing that you mentioned, Mike, because we definitely struggled with it. It takes up about a third of your view. And when
you're right.
When you're trying to show people the game and it's, a third of the view, it's a bit like, okay, this is a bit naff. But
yeah.
I have to say, when I talked about Sawtooth earlier, the kind of ups and downs of this week, that is the embodiment of LA Noire. Okay. There are very, very high points. There is a bank robbery style type thing that you do with a shotgun that you pump, that you load, that you are shooting guys and they're flying back like with full physics. It is awesome. You're like pull the shotgun up, you're like dropping cartridges in and pumping and taking them down with a partner. The locomotion is a bit of a weird mix. I'll talk about that in a mention. But for the most part, this is okay. So I'll talk about the locomotion now. They implemented, there's 3 options you have, okay? The first option they show you, I thought, oh god, this is the locomotion method from Other Suns. So you point to an object, you click, it highlights, you click, and then your body becomes disembodied, runs through you, right? You stay static, it runs to the place, and then you teleport. And they don't really show, they just blink teleport there. That's the first one. The second one is kind of a variant of that. I'm not going to be able to differentiate between the two. And the third one, which I thought was really interesting, was it is the shake your controllers left and right, and your body runs. Now, the worst part about this, and this is with the Vive controllers, so they're quite large, you shake them, and then the question is like, where's my body going? I still haven't been able to perfect it, because like you're like, I want to go straight, and your body just goes, I'm just going to go into the wall over here, or I'm going to go over here into the car, and then you hit this like black environment of I've just conflicted with an object. So definitely the motion is weird.
Yeah.
The facial animations from the very introduction, super impressive. Like, whoa, I'm looking at a human. That capture is really, it's kind of blurry. So they'll have the face capture and then you'll see kind of like almost like a JPEG-y wash into the next facial animation. But some of the stuff, like when your boss in the first case is given out to you, God, it feels like you're really getting given out to by a police captain. Maybe Mike knows more about this, but
that's what the game is like famous for as well. For the face captures. That it looks realistic in a way.
So that carries very well into the VR environment. I did find some of the missions to be very challenging. I had to replay, for instance, the first interrogation 7-8 times just to pass it, and that felt like, God, this is quite frustrating. And then a bit later
hard time with tutorials.
Finding objects in a room was also very it can be very difficult. Like sometimes you're like turning a body over and stuff like that. Feels really good, but at the same time, like figuring out what's the one thing I need to progress to the next mission is like hitting your head against the brick wall sometimes. It's a little bit frustrating. So the game is, for me, salt and pepper right now. It is very much black and white. Very, very unmissable experiences mixed with frustration that I haven't seen in many titles, so it's a mixed bag. Yeah.
So I haven't played it myself, but I watched a stream from Re-Upload VR, and but they had like hands. You can see your hands, right? So you got like
you have Trump hands. You have Trump hands. They are the world's smallest hands.
Okay. But it's funny. I mean, I haven't really seen anyone use that in like a part of the VR game. So that's like a good one. I mean, that really adds up. And I think you could also see yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, you can put hats on and off in front of the mirror.
Oh, that's.
So talking about the hat issue, Zim, like I only experienced it in the first section of the game, but can you decide just to ditch your hat, or are you wearing it by default?
Yeah, I tried to ditch my hat. I don't remember. I think so. So once you unlock your first set of suits and you take on the detective job, then you have the option of changing, and you can take it off. I don't know if from the very beginning, because you're in the office with the case files in front of you, if you can walk up to the coat hanger, look at yourself in the mirror, and literally take the hat off, because you can't just take the hat off when you're standing on the street in the middle of a mission. The other thing I have to say, I totally forgot about this. The driving is amazing. It's really good. They put you in front of your car. You've got the gear shift for like, you've got forward and back. You've got to turn the ignition on. You've got to drive. The thing drives like a goddamn yacht. The thing, it does not corner. And when you get in accidents, you see the people's heads in the car you hit move like you impacted them, and your guy next to you is like, God, that's coming out of your paycheck, buddy.
But
fucking awesome.
But that's so nice. Like when the game wasn't out yet, someone said to me like, "Yeah, can you drive cars?" Like, no, they're never gonna do that. That's they're gonna find something out for this, and it's not gonna happen. So like things like having hands in there, have a mirror in there, and a driving car. It seems like Rockstar wants to go a little bit more to where like we as a VR community want to go. So I'm very happy to see that. Those are really small things, maybe. But as someone also said in the chat, you know, it adds up to the immersion. You know, it's great for making a sense of presence when you see yourself. So having like a part of the VR game and have a mirror in there and add extra things shows that if you got a monitor game, a 2D game, casual game, whatever you call it, and then blend it in with VR, you can actually make something really nice out of it if you just put some time in it, some money, and some work.
Yeah, but read between the lines here. You know what they're doing. They are test bedding before GTA 6 because they made the statement that GTA 5 was not going to be VRified, but they would make a concerted effort in GTA 6. I bet you they're already working on that.
I'm telling you, this is like what I mean when I say like developers are like dipping their toes. Like this is literally that. They're dipping their toes into VR, like what can we do with this? What is cool? What do people like? What don't they like? And I'm telling you, GTA 5, the hats are probably going to be removed then if everyone's complaining about it.
Well, this as well, you got to remember that this is a game that was originally released in 2011. Like, and like you say about the facial animations, it was so impressive back then because it was almost groundbreaking, you know, that kind of technology seen in a game. So I am actually really excited to see it in VR, and from what I saw at the very beginning, it did look very impressive. And like you say, it adds to the immersion of the game, but it's just these other bugs and bits and pieces that I'm going to have to deal with, obviously being a Rift user, to get around that problem. But I'm willing to invest time to make it work on the Rift, and then maybe I'll get a chance to play it more later on this afternoon. But it also kind of got me in the mood for playing a detective game in VR, right? Because we don't really have that. And it got me looking at The Invisible Hours on the Oculus Store. Because that's a game that you've checked out, right?
Oh, The Invisible Hours is a must-buy, must-play. It is basically, to give the premise of the game, and I won't give any spoilers away, somebody dies, and you have to investigate the murder. But so let's say there's 8 players in the murder. I would call The Invisible Hours Clue or Cluedo in VR. And you can watch and participate in every piece that every character is doing from even before you start the game. It's amazing, the intricacy of the spaghetti net that they have with all the stories. The way I played it, I latched onto one character who was like a total fringe guy, and I went and spent 2 hours with that guy, and I ignored the main show. And it was the quality of just that thread was like, holy shit, I have to play this from every angle now, because it was amazing. Totally different game, and then you just come back and you follow the blind. I won't go into it, but gotta play that. You'll love it, Mike. It was really good.
Check it out.
So that's the thing. Like, if I can't get LA Noire working properly, then Invisible Hours will be the game that I play.
Worth mentioning, the writer or one of the main writers behind Farpoint wrote The Invisible Hours.
Interesting.
Both strong stories. If you're looking for a story game, either Farpoint or The Invisible Hours are both very solid.
Okay, that's very interesting. So we're going to be moving on to another huge experience. So we've talked about spending like 70, 100 plus hours in VR. Well, this is probably one of those titles where you probably will do that, because if you're an MMO fan, then this is probably what you've been waiting for. It is the first fully realized fantasy virtual reality, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, and that is OrbusVR. So this released yesterday in early access on the 15th of December for $34.99 in British pounds, $39.99 in US dollars. And like I say, it is an early access game, but it features everything you will love about an MMO. So it's a huge open world. There's dozens of hours of quests with an intriguing story, interesting lore, characters. You can have a pet dragon, which sounds awesome. 5-player co-op raids in dungeons with big boss fights, in-game chat, player trading, and you can also go fishing on your downtime. So it's got a lot to offer, this game. So if you're into like a World of Warcraft of VR, then this is kind of touting as that's the game it's going to be. But Zim, you're the only one that's actually checked out this game. You played this recently, right?
I've actually been playing this over the last couple of months. So when I saw that it was the first MMO, and probably to preface my feedback, I'm not a guy who likes MMOs. I was first exposed to Sharon's Call back in the day, then EverQuest after that, then played World of Warcraft for a very short bit before my wife thankfully fish hooked me out of it and said, "You're not playing that game." I already lost a few friends to that, and I lost friends to that. Nothing against WoW people, but that would have consumed me. So I don't generally play MMOs, but I dipped into this about 3-4 months ago when they were doing kind of a closed beta, and for $60 you got in. So they were following a pricing structure which is more expensive to get in when it's rougher, right? So you paid 60, you got in. So I played it kind of 2 or 3 times with different character resets. Thankfully, the thing that I would say about Orbus at the very beginning, and what you look for when you play an MMO, is the community, which is hundreds of people, are really welcoming. I can only think of one group that I've walked up to and said, "Hey, can I join up with you guys?" that has turned me away. Everyone else is like, welcomed you in. You can have a party of 5 people. You go kill things. The variety of enemies is pretty good. It's not a very, if you walk out of the starter area, you're going to get wrecked. And the thing I did yesterday, having played the kind of earlier builds, which only had maybe 3 areas you could explore, some dungeons and things like that. This is an MMO. There are full-on like dungeons you have to crawl through with 4 or 5 people that you only scrape it to the end and only scrape beat the boss. I mean, it is a proper MMO, but, you know, before it resets in a I think a half an hour time frame. So you really have to, if you want to be good at the game and experience what it's got, you mentioned it, Mike. There are a few different facets to this that are really cool. First off, one of the early quests, you can get like a pet dragon. And petting the little pet dragon, you get tactile feedback into your hand when you're stroking its back. And it does this kind of curl its back as you stroke it down the back like this. That felt really, really nice. Like, that was like, oh my god, this is almost like Pokemon in VR or something. I got my own little Pikachu here. Or little Charizard, I should say. So that was cool. But the core systems in the game I was really surprised. They haven't really changed. The GUI is rough. The learning of how do I communicate with other players is difficult. You have to basically pull a compass off your hip and hold it towards your face, and it turns red. You can talk to your party. Otherwise, it's just VoIP in-game. You can walk around. I think the introduction as well, if you pick the game up, give it an hour or 2, because the intro bit is the weakest bit. It is like they've made text walls of this is how you play our game, and this is how you use a sword. And there is some introduction, but the intro is the weakest part. Once you get in with a crew of 3 or 4 people or something, you don't have to know them. But as long as you're like battling wolves or ghosts or whatever, there's a really good scale of places. The other weakest point that I was going to say is the travel. So you can walk around the land, or like in old Warcraft days, you can go get on a hovering flying ship and travel from point A to B. But they don't tell you, they need a big warning sign. It's a 20-minute circuit. You step on the boat and you're like, okay, I had a buddy down the staircase and I got on the boat before him. And then I was like, oh no, don't worry, I'll come right back around. And I'm like, you keep going around this place to place, castle, you know, kind of dune setting in the desert, and keep going around, and you're like, when is this gonna end? This bloody nightmare of me trying to get back to my buddy. Wasted half the night. That's
crazy.
It was crazy, and everyone was bitching about that. But no, it's a really quality experience. It's just very grindy.
So what you're basically saying is, if you are not really into MMOs and you want to start doing MMOs in VR, then this is a good starter?
If you're sorry, say that again, Nathie. If you're not a
So if you are not really into MMOs, is this like a good starter thing to do in VR?
if you don't like the concept of MMOs, in other words, go kill 100 rats.
Well, no,
then,
I mean if you are curious about like MMOs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I think that the community and just the ride along, like you can be a level 1 player and ride with 3 level 6 players and be just totally fine. You just stand at the back and maybe fire bows. There's different classes, so you can shoot a gun, shoot a bow, go whole on melee with the sword attacks. And there's different ways to do it. The coolest thing, and Mike's lady would probably find this very interesting, is that the spell casting in the game, once you unlock it, and it'll take you probably 3-4 hours to get to the point where you unlock it, and you'll probably have to talk to people to find out where to go and meet this witch and complete her quest and all that kind of thing. You get this scraggly little stick. And with this scraggly little stick, you draw in space on a glyph. And those glyphs that you learn, if you learn a level 7 glyph and you go start a new character and you draw that level 7 glyph, which is complex, you can cast that spell.
Nice.
This is a skill-driven spell casting. So if you learn a level 20 spell, which is 3-4 symbols, and you have to draw it accurately or it cancels, you can do it. So that's neat. A really nice spin.
That's very neat. And there was one thing that you mentioned that I found really interesting as well, and I kind of noticed that in VR games in general, is that you said that the people are so welcoming in those kind of things. And I kind of wonder if it's maybe because you're in virtual reality and you're actually face to face with a person, which makes it much more of a personal thing, that people are much more likely to say, okay, yeah, come on, let's join, than maybe in another game when you're just watching a screen. It's easier. Maybe
it's hard to ignore someone who's in your face. Yeah, I agree with you, Rowdy. There is a human element to it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Or maybe VR is too expensive for the trolls out there.
Actually, I do think there's a newness factor here. I do think there's a newness factor here.
Yeah. But the cool thing about this is, like, not only can you just go out and have crazy adventures on your own or with a group of other people doing a raid or a quest, you can just go and relax as well. Like, you've got a house that you can decorate and add stuff to. You can craft potions. You can go fishing. You can pet your pet dragon. And that's really nice. So it is kind of like a fully fledged world that you could spend time in. But like other big worlds that are like this that you could spend time in with other players, it really needs the player base and the community to get behind it, right? Because it's all well and good if you've got a thriving community that are helpful and want to play with you and show you the ropes and keep going back to do these quests and leveling up. But if the players don't grip a game like this, then it kind of dies in a way. Like we've seen this with other online-only games. So I really hope that this kind of pulls people in and attracts people to this platform. Because if this is what you want to get into, then great. And I hope you have a great experience. But I hope that the player base stays with it. Because, again, it's quite an expensive title. Like it's $34.99
It's too expensive right now, honestly, Mike. And I would just say that if you are new into it, the one thing I would say, unlike other games, because it's an MMO and it attracts the more nerdy quadrant and sticky quadrant of I don't mean sticky unclean, I mean sticky as in they glomp onto an MMO and stay with it and learn it and support and all that. It's like a support community, right? I've always found people online whenever I touch that game. And I mean, I don't just mean one or two, I mean like 20, 30, 50 scattered around the place. So there's a really cool thing I want to highlight, because if you do decide, that's for me, I want to go into it, look for people with capes. So early backers got capes. So there's founders capes and there's early backers capes. So I'm the kind of second tier of that. But those people will already understand the game, can answer your questions, and generally will be the ones who I know will welcome you with open arms. So
that's cool.
So what is your prediction for this game? Will, like, let's say after 2-3 months, are there still people playing it?
From my experience last night, in the first hour, I probably would have answered you, oh god, definitely not. Look at how terrible it is. It's fucking broken. They haven't even fixed stuff in 4 months. But then I got in with groups. Then I got to understand some of the stuff they've added. My prediction is 3 months from now, this game will still be kicking it, because it's because of the community who's in there is latched in there, and it is actually very replayable. Those dungeon raids, You can't do... Tell me another VR title right now where you can go on a proper full-on 2-hour dungeon raid and take down some big badass monster. When you walk through some of the gates, I went along with some level 20 guys when I played it 3 months ago, and you could go through what looks like this demonic gate, and you go through this and you fight this giant rock monster, and you all have to use your special abilities in different classes in order to take this thing down, dropping stalactites from the ceiling down on this thing. Spoiler. That was the wrong order, I'm sorry. But like, you got to figure out how to take this thing down, and it's hard.
Yeah.
That is good gameplay. So yeah, I think it's actually on a winner. I think it's really rough. The GUI and the new player start totally needs to be redesigned. But if you can get past the text and the intro bit and find some people to talk to, learn the game that way. Don't learn the game because of how the game teaches it to you. Find a player.
I think as well, like with community-driven games like this, though, it needs to have a free barrier to entry to test it first, because a bit like Final Fantasy, like the online version of that, you know, you can basically play the game for free up until a certain level, and then you pay to get in, and that would have been a smarter pricing model, I think, in my opinion, and I would have been more inclined to go and try it out, I think.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. That's a beautiful idea. I'll pass that back to the devs.
So yeah, like if I was them, that's the way I would go. I would say, you know, play to level 5 for free. You know, experience the community, talk to our community. If you like our game, then you can back it. Yeah, that would be my way of doing it. But so maybe that'll happen. Who knows? But I don't know even if Steam allows that kind of payment structure in Steam, because I know Final Fantasy have their own way of paying for it. I think it's a monthly thing. But yeah, you know, OrbusVR, I love the fact that, you know, people are trying new genres in VR, and an MMO was something that we hadn't experienced before. So I am interested. I probably will go and check it out at some point. But yeah, so if you're an MMO fan, you dig, you know, the World of Warcraft, maybe you should go and check this one out in VR.
You touched a good point there, Mike. Flat fee MMO, not subscription. And that's actually a big attractor for MMO fans, because if you're used to paying hundreds of quid a year for your MMO, 40 quid isn't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So, moving on from vacation with friends in MMOs and fishing by the lake in MMOs, you can now go on a vacation in VR, and that is with Vacation Simulator from Alchemy Labs. Obviously, the studio that brought you Job Simulator and Rick and Morty, Virtual Reality. They're working on their new title, which is Vacation Simulator. So after pondering the progression of life, the universe, and job, they came to the natural conclusion that first you job and then you vacation. So now you can experience the vacation, relaxation, and of course sunburn in VR. Yay. So this is going to be coming to Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and PSVR in 2018. So what do you guys think of this? This is kind of a fun title. I got into Job Simulator and enjoyed my time with that game, and also Rick and Morty. So I'm pretty intrigued about Vacation Simulator because it's a fun title for all the family to play as well. You know, it's a very casual kind of game, but it is very fun as well. Yeah. So what do you guys think of this one?
Well, it's funny. Last week when because the trailer got announced at the Video Game Awards. Yeah. I did actually a trailer reaction that I never uploaded. That never made it to the public. I'm sorry. I did have fun though. It was really fun too. I actually no. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
There's no way getting out of this.
But I checked this 1-minute trailer and I spent around like 10 minutes talking about it. But so what I discovered after watching the trailer like 4 times is that Job Simulator, the basic game was just you grabbing a cartridge, going into, you know, the job, and that's it. But now with this new one, it's more like an open world. Now it's not open world in a way where it's Skyrim or Fallout. It would be nice though, like a huge job simulator world. But it's like a small little like town square in a way, you know. But then like on a beach. And what I discovered is, so you got all kinds of jobs, and I think you can unlock certain jobs and play them. And every time you play, well, it's not really a job. You're on vacation, but you're still kind of jobbing in a way, you know. You will earn cash, and with that cash, you can buy items. Because if you check out the trailer, you see an actual shop. So you will be able to job and actually get something in return, and then spend that money on, well, useless stuff, I'm afraid. But that's what I could discover. But lots of like mini games, from building sandcastles to catching bugs, working out, doing like yoga in a way, beach volleyball, things like that. That's all I could see in the trailer, but yeah, I'm excited, and it's so nice. I mean, they bring it out on every platform. No bullshitting around. Vive, PlayStation VR, Oculus, no Pimax. I'm sorry, Survivor.
Experienced company that is doing virtual reality, more experienced than Bethesda.
True.
Again,
Yeah, that's true.
With a vacation simulator.
It's true.
But you're right. Alchemy have done very well in their experience within VR, and they implement some really nice features as well for people like us that want to show off content, because you can change the field of view, you can have in-game cameras, all sorts of cool, neat features for people that want to share VR experiences with other people that other studios just don't do. We've talked about this before, but Alchemy are a really cool studio, so I'm excited about this. But also they released a free update to Job Simulator recently, which is called Infinite Overtime. And now each of the jobs you can just play forever, infinitely. But it was funny.
Fidget spinners.
Fidget spinners in VR, which is like total next level. If you're into fidget spinners, you go and check that out. But something that you mentioned I caught on there, Nathie, is do you actually have to play Job Simulator to earn money to then pay for stuff on your vacation, or is that?
I guess so. Yeah, it's like a goodie shop. And I don't know what you will be able to buy, but that's the funny thing. It's such a short trailer, and when you watch it once, it's like, okay, well, this is just a silly thing. But if you like replay the scenes, you can really discover what it's all about. It's also funny that at the end of the trailer, you see them like barbecuing, and you got like the hamburgers with the Vive and the Oculus logo on there, and it says like 2018. Maybe. So it's like, maybe it's not even gonna come out in 2018. Maybe it's gonna be 2020.
But then it also says probably.
Probably, yeah.
All right, quick quiz here. You can play along in chat if you want. Guys, first of you to answer this question accurately is gonna get a prize. All right, here we go. Alchemy Labs, what was their first VR title?
It's, the Job Simulator is the obvious choice, but I don't think it was. I have no idea.
I'm gonna just wait for a second here. Drum roll.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, chat's got it. Chat's got it.
Okay, go on. What is
Andreas got it. So it's for the Awesome. It's the game where you plummet from top to bottom.
Way. Are you kidding me? No.
That was Alchemy's first game. That was an awesome game. No. I love that.
Is that like the yellow logo with and then you were falling down in VR? Oh god, no way.
Yeah, the game with the longest name on Steam, right?
I didn't know this. What the heck?
Darn
They're
it.
like around for a while then.
They're one of the first.
DK1
one of the first, I would say, from back in the day. Yeah. One of the first games that actually was available on Steam, along with things like Lunar Flight and God, there was not a lot.
What the heck? Okay.
There you go. Well, sorry, just fun little game there. I thought you guys might enjoy some trivia.
Yeah.
So,
wow. But also, I don't underestimate the fact that Alchemy Labs has been bought by Google. So I'm sure there will be more interesting stuff happening in the near future.
Yeah.
I really hope that Alchemy Labs is going to be one of the developers out there that is also going to push the way we record games forward, because they are one of the only ones that have like a lot of settings that like no YouTuber uses. Funny enough, I'm always seeing like new gameplays popping up, but you can smooth the camera out, you can make it move really slowly, really cinematic, field of view, zooming out, zooming in.
They got Twitch integration as well, Nathie.
Also, that's right. And you can put cameras everywhere, so they really know how it's done, and
agree.
But they made some good games.
I totally agree. And when we was at OC4, we actually met one of the guys who works for Alchemy. So maybe I'll try and reach out for him and see if he is interested in being on the show when Vacation Simulator comes out.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So moving on, because the show has sort of gone on for a bit, and we've had some technical issues, as you're probably aware. But there is a winter sale coming soon. Winter is coming, as they say in Game of Thrones. The winter sale is now on the Oculus Store. It actually started yesterday, so if you want to pick up some titles for a little bit of a reduction in price, then head over to the Oculus Store now. The Steam Winter Sale is anticipated to start on the 21st of December and roll on through to the 4th of January, so hopefully there'll be a lot of VR titles involved in the Steam Winter Sale as well. So that's going to be really, really cool. So if there's anything that you're really, really intrigued about picking up, let us know in the chat, like what's the title that you're really waiting for to be reduced in price. I'd be intrigued to know some of your suggestions. But while you're typing away in the chat, I've got a question from one of our listeners of the show on my YouTube channel. So this is a question from Carl Rhodes for you guys. And this is, hey guys, love the show. Could I request a discussion topic? What games, experiences would you all recommend playing to train yourself to be more tolerant to VR sickness? Interesting question.
Good question. Windlands.
What do you guys? Yeah,
Windlands will do it.
Windlands
will do it.
Hardcore, man.
Yeah, no. Because I've indoctrinated. We've actually it's a question I got about 2 years ago, and we were like, what game is gonna do it? But Windlands performance is not a question on any platform. That's the greatest thing. Is it that because of the way the game works, it's got baked lighting. It runs smooth as silk on any of the platforms you can get it. Works on all 3 platforms. Lovely color, decent price for a game that's quality. It's not too long either. You know, you can probably beat the game in about 6-7 hours. I 100%ed it on PSVR in 16, so it's not too long either. But it's the perfect thing for triggering initial, I'll call it virgin VR persons, like VR sickness. And again, the golden rule, I'll reiterate it really quickly. If you feel anything, come out immediately. Do not man up and push through it. Do not man up and push through it. Otherwise, you'll ingrain that in your body and you'll actually get sicker. It'll take you longer to get your legs. Then, when you feel good, and I mean 100%, not 99%, you come back in, give it another go. The equivalent is if you're a dude and you're trying stilettos for the first time, you know, no judgments. You're trying stilettos for the first time. You're not going to man up and try to, you know, walk down all the way down 5th Street. You're gonna take it maybe around the block and then take them off and take a bit of a breather and then go again. That's what you need to do. And if you do that and you're legitimately, like, you know, concentrated on that effect, trust me, with the current headsets, because of the frame rate that you're getting in there, within 2 weeks, it's for most people it's 5 or 6 days, you'll be there.
I think it's very important to start with a title that has no locomotion at all. Just a title where you need to move a lot yourself. I think that's very important. Like your first experience needs to be to get used to like virtual reality just in general, because it can already be a sickening experience. I think it's very important that you have a title in which you move a lot. And a title that I would say then, I know you don't like it, Zim, I know you don't, Super Hot.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I didn't say it wasn't Game of the Year. I think Super Hot is a good, because again, it's a low poly, high frame rate experience that has motion in it. The only thing I would say is I don't know that Super Hot will give you VR legs for titles like Locomotion in VR Minecraft. Like that stuff is going to still wreck you.
Like you start with a title that you need to like move a lot, and then you move to a title where you, for example, have some teleport, or like then you move to, for example, Windlands. You move then to a title like where you need to teleport.
I agree with you. We got a 7-step program here. 7-step program. One by one.
He just jumped into Windlands. It's too late.
Serious Sam. Just Serious Sam.
There's no way back.
Trampolines up, and you try that a few times, and you have VR legs.
I think like I don't really have like a specific game you should play, but if I think about games that only happen in one room, then escape rooms are very nice. Usually they are like happening in one tiny space. And something else that I can also recommend is it's called Freedom Locomotion. That's like an app, an experience where you can test out different sorts of locomotion and see if they work for you. If you are interested in at least exploring new...
That's on Steam, is it, Nathie? Is that on Steam?
Yeah, that's Steam. Freedom Locomotion VR. And you can test like walking, but that's also something you should do later. As Rowdy said, go for something maybe in one room, or also one that is interesting maybe is Perfect VR, like a relaxation demo. But it all happens in one place, you know? You can walk to a torch and grab it, or get a coconut or something like that.
Don't make people buy that game, Nathie, please. That is the most disappointing.
Okay.
But you're totally right. You've got to take it in stages, and like I think from what he said was that he's kind of almost tried the standing still experiences. He wants to sort of train himself for locomotion. But I think Windlands is a great suggestion, and I echo what Zim said. You know, like when you start getting that hot feeling or you're feeling a bit sweaty, then just stop straight away. Because also what I found as well, like very early on in the beginning, I jumped straight into like Half-Life VR mod and was like sliding around the place, and it literally knocked me flat for about 3 hours. But also what you start to do is you start to associate that feeling with the smell of the headset as well, and other things, and it can cause you real problems. So I wouldn't push through. I would just, like you say, take it in steps, have little breaks. Also, ginger ale is a really nice way of helping you with motion sickness. It's like kind of one of those things that's supposed to help. So I'd recommend you check out ginger ale as well. But yeah, like once you get to that point, take little sessions with like Windlands or something similar, and that'll build your VR legs. And after a little while,
if
you'll
you
be much
really
better.
want to get into like the top end of like VR sickness, and Nathie, we still need to drop Zim and Mike in there. We need to go into
I already know
VR
what
chat.
you're gonna say.
Go into like the roller coaster,
VR chat
and if you can do that without puking, then you definitely have VR legs. It's VR chat. You go to like the roller coaster, and they have like this wheel that goes around, but you can adjust the settings. Like someone else can like adjust the setting, and it can go. It's as big as it's probably like the London Eye, But it goes like you can literally like I think a round per second or something. So you go in there and you go. If you don't get sick of that, then you not only have you're not only immune to VR sickness, you're immune to any kind of motion sickness ever.
I'll take the challenge, and we will record this.
But it's so funny to talk about this, because for me it's like it's not really there anymore. Last time I got really sick was Serious Sam with Rowdy, but the speed was just like too heavy. I couldn't handle it.
It was because we jumped on the trampolines for like 20 minutes or something, Yeah,
that's also okay. Yeah, that's true. But then you can feel it in your headset, and then just take it off. Don't keep on playing. Don't do it, because it will. Like I got scared once too, where I got really sick and I didn't touch VR for like a week. I was like, maybe I shouldn't. I was scared in a way. I had that feeling when I put it on. I was like, no, here we go again. So take it easy with that. Then you will
listen to your body, right? Listen to your body, because I've seen back in the DK1, DK2 days when we didn't. The thing that really makes the difference, by the way, if anyone's tried mobile VR headsets, not having positional tracking,
it makes a big difference.
This day can get me in my stomach. Like if I sit down with Gear VR at a convention or something, and I'm like moving like this, and it's not tracking that lateral motion, that is like, you gotta feel it. And again, I gotta follow the rules. So even to this day, 4 years into VR, I still follow that golden rule, which is if I feel sick, just come out. If you're on a live show or something, talk to people. And then just wait until you're better. If you're not better, cancel. Whatever.
Yeah. So what suggestions have we got in the chat for titles that people want to pick up in the winter sales before I sort of wrap this one up?
Oh, and I was going to say, Mike, I had to look at this live as well. So the Oculus Home Store has an interesting bundle, a couple of bundles, which they've got like the red bundle, the green bundle. Something that frustrates me with Oculus is they throw 3 or 4 rubbish games around 3 feckin' awesome games. I have yet to see a pack that is 7 great titles, or even 6. I haven't seen that yet from Oculus, and they should do that.
Although what they do is that if you've bought one of those titles already, you do get a reduction in price on the overall bundle if you own one of those titles already, which is kind of cool.
True. And some of the daily discounts and kind of burner discounts are worthwhile. So the thing I'm worried about at Oculus Home, I gotta say, you guys were talking about it earlier. When they put money on digital items, and you can pay for an item to have in your virtual house, then we've gone far enough into the rabbit hole.
I mean, the new Oculus update has like loot boxes in a way.
Those are so good.
They are good. They are.
I love them. But why?
As long as they are free.
Because it's experience driven. I think if they keep it without money associated with it, it is going to keep me interested in Oculus Home. It's going to keep me playing their titles. It's a secondary market to the primary market, which is buy our games. You buy our games, you play those games, you get free stuff. They should keep that. That works incredibly well. And it is friendly and it's warm. and it feels like a game in itself.
So there you have it, guys. If you want to feel like you're friendly and warm, go to Oculus Home. That's the only option. But I'm going to wrap this week's show up because we have dragged on a lot. I know we talked about Fallout 4 a lot. I know I missed some of that chat as well, so I apologize. I've got some real internet problems going on right here, so I'm going to have to sort them out after this week's show. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We are obviously having a great time making this show. So just to remind you, it's obviously a weekly AR, VR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. Tune in at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in UK, 9 a.m. in Central US. Check out the audio-only version on iTunes or Google Play Music. And yeah, we will see you on next week's show. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Apologies for the technical issues. We'll get them resolved. And see you on next week's show.
Bye-bye.